Yo, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy Sleezo coming at you with the first half of my NFC East analysis. I'm really excited because I think that the NFC East is the most competitive division in the National Football League. I don't think it's the best, but it's the most competitive. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, the first team we're going to be talking about are America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the Dallas Cowboys are intriguing because last year we didn't get to see them fully loaded with all their weapons. Now, a healthy Dallas Cowboys team in 2014 won the division with a 12-4 record. They beat the Detroit Lions on Wild Card Weekend, and they were one play away from beating the Green Bay Packers and facing the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC Championship game. Now, we all know it did not go down that way. Now, in my opinion, the Dallas Cowboys are the best team in the NFC East and should be the favorite to win the division in the 2016 and 2017 season. However, the Dallas Cowboys have some weaknesses. Now, the biggest weakness for the Dallas Cowboys is the pass rush. Greg Hardy was the head of that defensive front last year. He was second on the team in sacks, but he's no longer there. DeMarcus Lawrence led the team in sacks with 8, but he's going to be suspended for the first 4 games. Randy Gregory, who was also expected to be a starting defensive end on that front, is expected to be suspended for 10 games. Now, the Cowboys are going to be without their starting 2 of their starting defensive ends at the beginning of the season. Tyrone Crawford is a solid defensive tackle. He had 5 sacks last year. They went out and they signed Cedric Thornton from the Philadelphia Eagles in free agency. They used their 3rd and their 4th round draft picks to draft pass rushers in Malik Collins and Charles Tapper, but Malik Collins suffered a broken foot in training camp, and he's expected to miss all of preseason. Now, those are valuable reps for a rookie player in the National Football League. These unfortunate situations are leaving the Dallas Cowboys extremely thin on the defensive front. Now, another weakness I would like to point out is the linebacking core. Now, I know Sean Lee is an excellent linebacker when healthy. The only problem is that in the past 4 seasons, he's missed a total of 33 games. Sean Lee, throughout his entire career, has never played an entire season. Rolando McClain is going to be suspended for the first 10 games of the regular season. Anthony Hitchens is there, but he's not the difference maker that Sean Lee is. Now, what I'm interested in seeing is if this secondary can step up and make plays. They're going to have Orlando Scandrick back, who missed all of last year because of a torn ACL he suffered in training camp. They have Brandon Carr, who is a bit inconsistent, but at times can play well. Morris Claiborne has definitely not developed into who we expected him to be when the Cowboys drafted him. They have Byron Jones, who is a young, versatile stud that can go out there and can make plays. The safety positions are set in Barry Church and J.J. Wilcox. Now, I want to see if this secondary is going to be able to go out there and make the plays they need to make to win football games and pick up the slack for how thin the Dallas Cowboys are going to be on the defensive front. Now, enough of their weaknesses. Let's get into their strengths. Now, we know that the Dallas Cowboys' strengths lie on the offensive side of the field. Now, the first major strength is the offensive line. Now, we know the Dallas Cowboys have the best offensive line in the National Football League. I really don't have to make a case for that. Now, another strength the Dallas Cowboys have is at the running back position. They still have Darren McFadden, although there are rumors that he's on the trade block. They still have Darren McFadden, who rushed for over 1,000 yards last year with 3 touchdowns. They signed Alfred Morris in free agency, and they drafted Ezekiel Elliott. Now, Ezekiel Elliott was an absolute beast at Ohio State University. If you look at the statistics in 2014 and 2015, in both seasons, Ezekiel Elliott rushed for over 1,800 yards. He caught over 200 reception yards, which totaled over 2,000 plus yards from scrimmage in 2014 and 2015. In 2014, he had a total of 18 touchdowns, and in 2015, he had a total of 23 touchdowns. Now, Ezekiel Elliott is going to add another dimension to this Dallas Cowboys offense. Now, we know they have one of the most dynamic receivers in Dez Bryant. He was also injured last year. But the most vital part, the backbone of this Dallas Cowboys offense is in Tony Romo. Tony Romo went down last year in week 2 with a broken left collarbone. He was out for 7 weeks. In those 7 weeks, they went 0-7. He then returned and he re-injured that same collarbone, which kept him out the rest of the season. Now, in the past 2 seasons, the Dallas Cowboys have a 15-4 record when Tony Romo's on the field and are 1-12 when he is out. Now, that goes to show the importance of Tony Romo. So when healthy, this Dallas Cowboys team is the best in the NFC East. The next team we're going to be talking about are the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles are an interesting team because they're a young, talented football team. Now, in the offseason, they fired their head coach and Chip Kelly. They hired the Kansas City Chiefs offensive coordinator, Doug Peterson. They brought in Jim Schwartz to be the defensive coordinator. And the hope is that in Philadelphia, that Jim Schwartz is going to bring an aggressiveness, a nastiness to this defense. Now, he runs an aggressive 4-3 scheme. The expectations is that Jim Schwartz is going to allow this talented Philadelphia Eagles defensive front to get after the quarterback. Now, when Jim Schwartz was a defensive coordinator in 2014 for the Buffalo Bills, they were ranked 4th in the National Football League in total defense. Now, clearly, like I said, clearly the strength of this team lies in the defensive front. They have Fletcher Cox, who led the team last year with 9.5 sacks. They just paid the man a 6-year, $103 million deal with $63 million guaranteed against injury. You know, the defensive front also include the likes of Brandon Graham, Connor Barwin, Vinny Curry, and Benny Logan. So the defensive front is stacked and have the potential to be one of the best defensive front in the National Football League. The linebacking core is solid. Jordan Hicks is a good young linebacker. Michael Kendricks is solid with room to improve. They're excellent at the safety position. They have one of the best safeties in Malcolm Jenkins. You know, they went out and they Rodney McLeod from the Los Angeles Rams, so they have a good tandem at the safety positions. Now, the weakness on the defensive side of the football for the Philadelphia Eagles is the cornerback position. Leotis McKelvin is expected to be the #1 cover guy. Now, that should say a lot. I mean, they do have some nice, talented young players at that position. They drafted Jalen Mills in the 7th round from LSU, who, in my opinion, is a steal at round 7. They have Eric Rowe, who's a rookie last year. So they have some nice, talented players at the cornerback position with some potential, but they don't have that true #1 corner. Now, they traded away Byron Maxwell, Byron Maxwell is by no means a premier corner in the National Football League, but he was better than anything that they have on the roster right now. Now, if you look at the offensive side of the football, there are some strengths. The offensive line, they have Jason Peters, who's one of the better left tackles in the National Football League. Lane Johnson, who today just got suspended for the first 10 games, so they're going to have a void to fill at the right tackle position, but they have Jason Kelsey at center and Brandon Brooks at the right guard position. So the offensive line is good. The running back position is above average. They have Ryan Matthews and Darren Sproles, who last year combined for a total of 1,400 yards and 11 touchdowns. They have a solid tight end tandem in Zach Ertz and Brent Selleck. Now, the weakness lies in the receiving core. They have Jordan Matthews, who was 3 yards shy of 1,000 yards last year. He's their #1 option, but he is not truly a #1 receiver. They have Nelson Aguilar, who underwhelmed in his rookie year, but still has a lot of potential to be a good receiving option in the Philadelphia Eagles offense. They signed Ruben Randle, who could bring some consistency. But the true problem lies in the quarterback position. They just paid Sam Bradford 2 years, $35 million. They're paying Chase Daniel to be a backer. They're paying him $7 million a year, and they moved up twice in the draft to draft Carson Wentz. Now, I think Carson Wentz is the future, but is Sam Bradford going to be able to lead this Philadelphia Eagles offense right now? I don't think so. But that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe.